Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Thank you for indulging the aggressive theme of this video so far. I'm very pleased with the stopwatch effect timers and the late 80s, early 90s jams, which are credited at the end of the video. I thought this was a pretty great match altogether. We hit our goal of keeping round count down without a single stand and shoot stage. Everything had movement, and most of the stages had a couple of meaningful options in terms of how to shoot them. I'm hoping this kind of short, technical stage sticks around after the ammo shortages end, and not just because I seem to be pretty good at shooting them. I think they're just a lot more interesting from a planning perspective than the blast 4 targets twice each and then move and do it again kind of stage. So in one of the title cards, I said I'd answer 3 questions. First up, what is Tiger Beretta? Fairly obviously that's this gun, so named for the orange and black slimline grips I put on it. Otherwise, it's pretty much a standard old-school Beretta M9. I bought it in 2017 for the previous, more restrictive production rules, swapped the hammer spring for a moderately lighter version, and shot it in 4 matches before I decided to build the CZ P09 limited carry optics gun that you can see in a couple of early videos on this channel. So I'm still using the same canvas triple magazine pouches I bought for 2-gun way back in 2016. I spent $18 on a pair of them, and will probably stick with them for semi-auto playtime until I get around to designing my own and 3D printing them. I put them on a Midway USA competition belt, recently retired from revolver in favor of a sturdier belt, and the holster is a $30 eBay special. The hanger was the one that I had my first revolver holster on, so I had that just in my parts bin. If I were going to shoot this gun seriously, I'd see about swapping on a Vertex slide for replaceable sights, so I could set it up with the same sight picture as my revolver. The M9, I think as a title card said, has a combat hold where the point of impact is under the front dot, and the revolver set up for a target hold where the point of impact is kind of cut by the front blade. So the next thing would probably be to have Allegheny Arms do a magazine well bevel job on it, and maybe the Langdon trigger job in a bag too. So question 2, where's the revolver? This was a popular question at the match as well. The short version is, the ammo loaded to a longer overall length didn't solve my lid problem. I have 2 paths for exploration. Path 1, I managed to get a cylinder shim installed. So that cuts the end shake down to about the minimum tolerable level and brought the barrel cylinder gap up to about 8 mils, which is about the most that Ruger says you should have. So that buys me 2 things. 1, hopefully better ignition, because the cylinder can't move away from the firing pin as much as the hammer comes forward to smack the firing pin and then the cartridge. And 2, the wider barrel cylinder gap and reduced end shake should make lead-induced binding nearly impossible. If I'm building up 8 mils of lead, that's pretty ridiculous, and I don't think I'm doing that. So my hope is that even if Path 2, which I'll talk about in a second, doesn't solve my leading problems, I'll be able to run the gun in matches without it binding up while I get the rest of the problem figured out. So path 2 is just trying a vast array of different bullets. I have some Hornady hollow points to load up, which I expect to work perfectly because there's no lead exposed to foul the barrel or the barrel cylinder gap. And I also have the same bullet shape, a long nose 160 grain, made by S&S casting instead of veggie heads, to see if a different coating helps. I did notice that either the S&S bullet or the coating is harder than the veggie head's flavor. Running the same crimp settings, there were no visible marks on the S&S coating whatsoever, while the veggie heads show a little line and some very slight sizing down. Finally, I have some brass jacket full FMJ coming. Those are only slightly more expensive than coated, to the point that I could live with it if they prove to be the magic bullet, if you'll allow the pun. Anyway, question 3. Does revolver shooting make me better at semi-autos? The answer to that is uncertain. I'm way better now at the double action start, obviously. A year and a half of revolver work has not robbed me of my ability to reload a semi-auto at a decent, if not spectacular, pace, and I'm extremely confident in shooting accurately in single action when I slow down. So my performance on hard targets, I think, bears that out. And on the other hand, though, there are significant differences between revolver grip and semi-auto grip techniques. A slide moving back and forth adds 2 sharp impulses to the semi-auto recoil profile when the slide hits the rear of its travel and then when it comes back forward. Well, the revolver just kind of goes up and back a little once. On some consideration, I think it's possible to get away with a wimpier grip on a revolver, and I may have been slacking a bit on good grip, which I'll have to work on in practice some. I think that played into my main issue today with Tiger Beretta, which is that I was fast but less accurate than usual. In closing, I am going to play Substitute Match Director for Castlewood in June and July. In June, we'll be borrowing some short stages from the Low Cap Nationals matchbook, although we'll have to make a couple of tweaks here and there because of prop availability, so come on out and compare your scores to the cream of the crop. Hope to see you there, and if not, I'll see you here next time.